Everyone, my name's Kadin, and I am recording this video on behalf of the Bench Riders podcast. Now, as I'm recording this, the Ravens-Bills NFL Divisional round game just concluded. The Bills ended up winning this one 27-25, and they will go on to Arrowhead Stadium to play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So we're going to go over this game, and then we will go over the rest of the matchups very briefly from Wildcard Weekend in this little short video that I'm going to be doing. I'm also flying solo tonight. Jesse has a day job. I'm still in college, so I have a little more time on my hands. So again, our podcast will be out this Wednesday night, hoping by at least 8 o'clock Central Time. So stay tuned for that. It is available on all platforms, as you can see on the bottom of the screen. So starting off, we're going to start with the game that just ended. So some notes going into this one. Ravens beat the Bills 35-10 back in week 4. Just a dominant showing in Baltimore. This one right here was the coldest game of Lamar Jackson's career. It was 20 degrees at kickoff, and it was only going to get colder. The snow wasn't coming down quite as much as that Eagles game, but it was coming down pretty decently. However, 20 degrees, that's pretty cold. It's not as cold as what it is here in Ames, Iowa. I'm looking at my screen right now. It says -2 degrees. So I think they'll be okay there in Buffalo. To start off this game, the Ravens were red hot. Lamar Jackson completed a 40-yard pass to Isaiah Likely to set up what would later end up being a touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman. However, the Bills marched right down the field, scored a touchdown. It's a 7-7 ball game. Then Lamar just inexplicably, I could not believe this when I saw it, threw a terrible interception to Taylor Rapp. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs is always just due for one of those. And oh my gosh, I couldn't believe that. But to the Ravens' credit, their defense forced the Bills to punt. So we had a chess match going here. Then the next play, Lamar Jackson drops back. He gets sacked by Damar Hamlin, and the ball comes out. Von Miller picks it up, and he goes for a big return, setting up the Bills in the red zone. Another turnover from Lamar Jackson. It was then on commentary that they noted that the Bills have won in the turnover margins in every single game they played this year, and it was no different here tonight. They won that battle 3-0. Josh Allen would then score a touchdown off the tush push. Then the Bills would hold the Ravens to a Justin Tucker field goal on their next drive, making the score 14-10. Then, with only a few minutes left in the half, Josh Allen and the Bills would march right down the field, and Allen would rush for a 4-yard touchdown with 20 seconds left in the half. And at the half, the Bills would lead this one 21-10. Justin Tucker would then make a field goal to start the third quarter. The Ravens came out guns a-blazing to start that second half. The defense would get a stop, and then Derrick Henry would rush for a touchdown, making the score 21-19. Therefore, the Ravens decided to go for a 2-point conversion. Unfortunately, that attempt was no good, as I honestly think they should have probably handed it off to Derrick Henry, but they decided to throw it anyway. But what do I know? I'm not a head coach. Tyler Bass would go on to hit a very impressive 51-yard field goal in the elements, and that would make this game 24-19. Mark Andrews then caught the ball. He went for a long reception, and then he fumbled it. The Bills recovered, just absolutely brutal, and it wouldn't be the last of Mark Andrews' blunders in this game. But again, the Ravens defense bails him out. Josh Allen gets stuffed at the goal line, and it forces the Bills to kick another field goal, making this one 27-19. The Ravens got the ball. They had one last chance to tie this game, and then that's when their cornerback, Taron Johnson, went down. It seemed like it was going to be a nasty arm injury, and they already lost Taylor Rapp earlier this year, so their secondary just running a little thin there. But thankfully, Johnson seemed to be okay. He got stretched out, and he was able to get back into the game. So that was very good to see. Lamar Jackson then rolled to his right and delivered an amazing throw to Tylan Wallace, and that took this one to the 2-minute warning. He then completed another chunk throw to Mark Andrews, and then Lamar would go and he'll find Isaiah Likely in the end zone, who made a diving catch for a touchdown. So here it was, 27-25, Ravens with a chance to tie the game, send this one to overtime. Lamar Jackson rolls to his right, delivers a perfect pass. Mark Andrews grabs it, it's in his hands, and then it just slips out and hits the ground. I mean, he had it. Lamar put it right in his hands, and Andrews just could not hold on to it. So then the Ravens were forced to kick an onside kick with 1:33 left in the game, and it was recovered by my guy Rasul Douglas, who I love, former Packer. And then Ty Johnson with a big run, and that took 12 seconds off the clock, and it sealed this game. Bills win 27-25. We knew going in this was going to be a great game. These two teams, I don't know, before this weekend seemed like whoever won this game was going to go to the Super Bowl, but given how the Chiefs looked in Arrowhead, I'm not too sure about that. But speaking of the Chiefs, they played the Texans this weekend, and they got a pretty decisive victory over them. The Texans are Jesse's team, and there was a lot of controversy in this one over the officiating. And on Wednesday, we will cover that in our podcast. And probably a spoiler, there's going to be some rants about that. So I'm going to just sort of go past this game very quickly here. Let's see. Crap, where did I see how prepared I am for this? Look. Okay. So just a few notes from this one. Going in, the Chiefs had won 6 straight divisional playoff games. It ended to be 7. Chris Boyd had a really stupid, unsportsmanlike penalty after he forced the fumble on a long kick return. But the Chiefs, of course, luckiest team I've ever seen recover it. The Texans' defense was amazing in this game. They did the best they could in some pretty crappy situations. They would hold the Chiefs to a field goal on that first drive. The Texans would respond, but then C.J. Stroud would limp off the field at the end of the drive. Just not ideal. As soon as I saw that, it's like, yeah, I don't like the script for this one. And then, of course, the officiating happened with the Will Anderson roughing the passer. Then there was another one earlier where Mahomes did the sort of fake-out slide. He established himself as a runner, but the referees didn't see it like that, and he gets hit, and then they throw the flag because you cannot touch Patrick Mahomes. Again, we will discuss that thoroughly this Wednesday on the podcast, available on all the platforms down below. So here's this one. Towards the end of the game, Stroud gets sacked on the drive. And then from there, the Texans just really sputtered offensively like they've done all season. Very unfortunate. I said on last week's show that in order for the Texans to win this game, their offense would have had to have looked like what they did a year ago. And they just did not perform once again. Really not to the fault of C.J. Stroud. He played pretty solid, 19 of 28 for 245, and that's not including his huge scrambles where he put his body on the line and he got the first downs. So again, he's a baller. I'm not worried about his future or anything. He's an absolute stud. But some things do need to change on the offensive side of the ball for the Texans, especially the offensive line, as Stroud was sacked 8 times, and then, of course, he was helped off the field. Just story of the season for the Texans. Great defense, underwhelming offense. Steve Spagnuolo's defense just always seems to come up clutch. It happened when he was on the Giants. It happened when he's on the Chiefs, and he's looking to win his 4th Super Bowl. And then Travis Kelce woke up. Just absolutely woke up here in the playoffs. Try to pull up his stats right now. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. So, again, there's a difference right now at this point in his career between regular season Kelce and playoff Kelce, but playoff Kelce is just a different animal. I don't know, maybe it was because Caitlin Clark was sitting next to Taylor Swift this time. Now moving on, we'll go quickly here over to the Rams versus Eagles. Honestly, I'm going to have to go back and watch this one. I really didn't see much of it, but I did see the end of this one. Let's see here. Again, I'm so prepared for this, as you can see. So on the last drive, the Rams had a chance to tie. Let's see, what was the score? Crap. We're doing it live. Folks. Okay, so the Rams actually had a chance to take the lead. They were down 28-22. They had one last chance to, again, go down the field and score a touchdown. Puka Nacua made an incredible toe tap sideline catch from a beauty from the ageless Matthew Stafford. And then number 69 for the Rams got a holding call, pushed them back. They were just really beating themselves at that point. And then they give up a Jalen Carter sack that led to 4th and 11, where Stafford just threw an incompletion. I mean, there was nobody even in the vicinity of that throw. Pretty anticlimactic, but that's how the Eagles got the win here. 205 yards for, I about said Charles Barkley, Saquon Barkley in this game. And man, what a turn of events from last year for the Eagles. They stumbled into the playoffs last year and just got embarrassed by Tampa Bay. But man, they bounced back. Nick Sirianni, he was on the hot seat. Doesn't seem that way anymore. It's hard not to see the Eagles as a Super Bowl team. And the crazy thing is, Jalen Hurts isn't even healthy right now. So imagine what they can do with him. But yeah, so they're limited in that aspect. But when you have Saquon Barkley to hand the ball off to, you have A.J. Brown to throw to, Dallas Goedert to throw to, and a great defense, it's hard to lose. Eagles are just such a good all-around team, and I find it very hard to believe that they won't make it to the Super Bowl. And then this game was an absolute shocker. The Washington Commanders go into Detroit and beat the Lions 45-31. So Washington advances to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991. And the crazy thing is, they made the Super Bowl that year, and the team they played was the Buffalo Bills. So history might repeat itself this year. It kind of has a funny way of doing so. So with this win, Washington makes the conference championship game. That means since 1995, every single team in the NFC has made the NFC championship game except for one, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to ask Jesse that on Wednesday as a trivia question to see if he actually watched this video or not. So that should be pretty entertaining. Lions just got embarrassed on their home field. And the crazy thing is, they sold the highest priced tickets, non-Super Bowl tickets, in NFL history. The average price of the ticket was $991, according to TickPick, which is just absurd price gouging, especially for the way they performed. They got to watch Jared Goff throw 3 picks and then fumble another one. He went 23 of 40 for 313 yards and a touchdown outside of that. His performance was just so poor in this game. In fact, I saw a lot of people on social media calling him Jared Goof, which I've actually never heard anyone say before. I'm surprised I've heard about it now. Maybe they were calling him that when he was on the Rams, but I've actually never heard of that. Then the Lions defense, to be fair, decimated with injuries. Guys in the secondary were going down left and right. Robertson went down very early in the game with a gruesome-looking injury. And they gave up 45 points. So obviously the 4 Lions turnovers weren't going to help that. But yeah, just brutal performance, brutal choke job for the Detroit Lions, who seemingly were a team of destiny, and they were red hot going into the playoffs. But again, once the playoffs start, you never know what's going to happen. So that's really all I have for that one for now. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more about that on the podcast Wednesday. One more note I want to add, Derrick Henry is just ageless, absolute beast, and I love the resurgence of running backs here in the NFL. And usually I'm more of an I like more offensive-oriented football, but man, the defensives have gotten better. It's forced the team to get creative with their scheming and the way they're running. And I love just seeing all these star running backs shining, whether it's Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, my guy, or David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, anyone. Even James Cook, who we saw just win this game. So again, very incredible to see. And I hope you all stay tuned for the podcast this Wednesday. We're going to talk about all these games. We're going to predict the 2 conference championship games. And then we're also going to talk a little bit of baseball. We're going to talk about the Dodgers and their spending spree of their seemingly unlimited money in the offseason, them signing Roki, Sasaki, and then Tanner Scott today. So again, I want to thank you all for watching. This is a cool experiment. and I can't wait to see how this video does. So thank you. We'll see you. Give this a like, leave a comment. See you next time.